bum, boom, boom. I take my whiskey neat. And now I'm bound down bed at 3. Something fresh here, team. It's going to be in the way, but I'm going to try and take a little down, going up time lapse of the work as it gets made. We might like it, we might hate it, but you know what? Time will tell. Let me put you just about there. It's a perfect spot. That's the perfect spot. For all the planning in the world, I forgot the picture I'm painting. 1 second. Take the picture I'm painting. I've got it. Here we go. Jay Smith, you're on fire in the chat room almost immediately. We've barely started and we're already at 200 likes. You pack of legends. Okay. Now I have to choose between colour or not colour. That's the question. How much for the painting? I love your enthusiasm. I love your love. But this is a commission. It's already got a home. It knows where it's going. So while I would love to sell it to you, the opportunity is not available. But on a work like this, I think it could be really fun. Since it is of Texas and we haven't done a landscape of Texas yet, it will be available as prints, as one of the set. We've done New York, we've done Santa Fe. These aren't always state. These are places in states, but and we've done, what was the other one? New York, Santa Fe, Montana, Treasure State. There was one other one. Anyway, 700 Springs Ranch is the Texas landscape, which is fun. Hey, Jules. All right. So, let's get started on our Texas landscape. I think another fun thing I did was I got my colours ready ahead of time, which makes me pretty happy. Otherwise, we'd be here wondering what's taking so long. But you don't have to wonder, because look, how prepared can one man be? Definitely more prepared. I could have remembered the image, but this is a good start. Let's take the lid off this one. I can tell you miss me. Cheers, Nadia. And sorry I wasn't looking at the camera when you gave a hat and a mustache. That's quite funny. There we go. Splash a bit of that in there. Now, for the most important part of all, the actual painting part. Oh, misty eye of the mountain below, keep careful watch, oh my brother's soul. And if the sky be filled with fire and smoke, keep watching over. I'm doing good. Thanks, Nadia. Actually, I had this one in the living room last night. I was looking at it. And Shelby said to me, that one's finished, right? I said, not yet. Not yet. Close. Close, but not yet. Jay. Jeepers, you guys are on fire. Are you getting notifications or are you just all... This is just when you're all on Instagram. Sorry, TikTok. Ooh, blasphemy. All on TikTok having some fun. That actually strikes there. I can tell you miss me by the way you kiss me. Pretty Caroline. Bum, bum, bum. Nadia. Shelby is the mother of my daughter, my partner, in all the ways. She's the reason I get to be here painting at this moment, rather than on 24/7 call on my daughter. So, that's fun. You got the notification, Jay. This is good news. I can tell you miss me by the way you kiss me. Hello to Indonesia. Welcome on in. Here we go. Da 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 da. Yeah, Marty. It's a good song. Gets stuck in your head easily. Just gonna have a quick look at this time lapse and see how framing the phone from this position works. Truly awful. Truly awful. We'll stick to the vid. I listen to everyone. But I definitely let my own taste play a big role. I won't just like someone because they're popular, or dislike someone because everyone else does. So, good example of that is I don't listen to them, but I actually don't mind Nickelback. I think they get way too much hate. And the lead singer, he got some award for the most, like, ugly rock star or something. He's not that bad looking. He's married to Avril Lavigne. Like, but it seems unfair to say not that bad looking. And what we mean to say is he's a regular fella. Doesn't deserve a hard time. That's my take on it. I had an idea. You could do a series with your daughter painting a picture of her at each birthday. That is a funky idea. Let's put it on the ideas shelf. We get plenty of time to think about it before the next birthday's upon us. So that's a handy factor. I can tell you miss me by the way you kiss me. Good times never felt so good. I will be fine. Dum 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 da 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 da. Oh no, Serena. What's your favorite Taylor Swift song? Ooh. What's my favorite Taylor Swift song? It's a love story, baby, just say yes. Yeah, that's the one. You're on the phone with your boyfriend, she's upset, or whatever it is. Going up about something that you said. But she doesn't get your humor like I do. I'm in the room, it's a typical Tuesday night. I'm listening to the kind of music she doesn't like. There we go. Eric, how long have I been painting? About 5 minutes now. about About. Well, I'm 31. So, reverse engineer it. I can tell you miss me by the way you kiss me. Sweet Caroline. Nadia, you sound like you need some sleep, Nadia. You're up at those early hours. Bum, bum, bum. Good times never felt so good. So good, so good, so good. I will be fine. Bum, bum, bum. Grab a little bit of this Payne's Grey. And let it just lurk in. For these little areas. There we go. I can tell you miss me by the way you kiss me. Can't sleep, haven't been able to, hopefully soon. Well, Nadia, the best way to do that, I reckon, is I know it's fun having you here. I appreciate your company. You fantastic individual, but if you want to get some sleep, turn that phone off. If you still want the stimulation, then put on an audiobook or a 1-hour YouTube video about something you're only mildly interested in. And let those hours tick by. But the screen itself, that bright light, it's going to act to wake you up. And if it wakes you up, you won't sleep. Ooh. I like Friends. Been watching a bit of Friends lately. I think I've got to that stage where there's always a new Netflix show out, but sometimes for comfort watching, it's nice to be able to sit down and watch a show that you're used to. Friends, How I Met Your Mother. You know, the fun thing about that is you can pick up from anywhere in the seasons, anywhere, and just enjoy it straight away. You don't need to have any context because you've already got it all. So I reckon that's pretty cool. Yeah, I can tell you miss me from the way you kiss me. Sweet Caroline. Bum, bum, bum. What's my profession apart from art? What's my profession apart from art? Happy-go-lucky guy. No. Art's my full-time profession. Art's what I do. I make art. Which is kind of a funny thing to say. It's like I deal in feelings. Because you do. You deal in feelings. You put something onto a 2D surface and sell it or give it to someone to evoke an emotional response. Because if it didn't invoke an emotional response, would it matter? Can someone tell me a form of art that doesn't invoke an emotional response or wouldn't have it as a purpose to get an emotional response. I think all art in small way does. In some small way. Even architecture, emotional in the way that sometimes it tries to be pleasing to the eye. There we go. Meg, that is an excellent question. Do I run classes? I'm so sorry to say that no. No, I don't. But I should. So the answer in short is no. I have done some private tutoring for a few people, but it's not something that I advertise, because whenever you do something privately for someone, you connect with them and help that person, but you don't. I think it's quite nice, like in the space right now, if you had a question or a feeling or an idea, or I had something to share, we can share it with, 76 people, which is kind of fun. I'm not saying this is always an environment that we're learning and teaching, but the ability to connect with more people and share something is primo. Are you painting the last layer now? No. Probably the, though, Jules, if I was, again, like we're just guessing. We're just shooting from the hip with those guesses. I think we're on the fourth or third final layer. But I say that, and then it's the final layer. So I wouldn't trust me at all. I would say that as soon as I say I'm 3 layers away, you can be pretty sure we're coming close to a result. And if I say we're on the last layer, you can be sure it's about 5 days. Dun, 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 dun. Do you have abstract art? I think all the art is pretty abstract. Let me bring you up to it, Rocky, and give you a demo of what I mean by that. Look at this. This is what you're watching. This is how abstract it is up close. It's an absolute mess. Absolute mess up close. So what you're watching here is, although from this sort of perspective, you can start to see a sort of canyon forming, trust me, it's an abundant mess. It's this clarity emerging from chaos. That's what's happening here. Clarity from chaos. But the more I can actually harness the two at the same time, the better off this painting will be. You can get so tied up on thinking, I just want chaos, or I just want perfect realism. It's a weird dance. It's an uncomfortable dance at times to have both and to stream them both, because one tries to cancel out the other. It's like this constant arm wrestle that you're trying to keep in the middle. That's a good way to put it. It's an arm wrestle that you're trying to keep in the middle. If you are in a low mood, can you still paint? Does mood affect the work? J. Profound. Yes. Mood does affect the work. Absolutely. Does a low mood affect the work? Absolutely. I believe that the feelings you approach a painting with transpose onto the surface. Every time. Every time. And so, when it comes to actually harnessing that, You can't just ride the wave when you're in a good mood. You need to figure out, when I'm in a low mood, how do I change that before I paint? How can I control that or optimize that? And usually, for painting, everyone's going to be a little bit different because it's emotions. But for me, I like a playlist. I like having some music. So when I'm lacking that mood, I shouldn't say lacking that mood, but when I don't want to say feeling down either. When I'm feeling flat, when I'm feeling numb, not completely, but slightly, I'll chuck on some music. And usually you'll see an AirPod on my ear. And don't say in that situation, if you see me with an AirPod in the ear, don't say, it might just be because I like some music. But don't be like, oh, what's wrong? Oh, blah, 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 blah. Just go, I see. Seb's catching a vibe while he's painting. It's helping him. That's typically why I won't paint with music most of the time, because that allows me to actually embellish what I'm doing normally and then supercharge it when I need to with music, which is very, very helpful. There we go. Alright, greeny, greeny, green. Greeny, 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 greeny. My sweet revenge will be yours for the taking. It's in the making, breaking, do, bo, jo, lo da do do. Ba da ba dum ba, la da ba, la da ba da, da da dun da dun da dun dun dun. Dun 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 dun. There we go. Hey East Coast, welcome on in. Jules is doing fine, that's great to see. Wait, yeah. Dun 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 dun. Harry, inspiration, you absolute champion. Glad I can be here for you, Harry. Whose art do you like the most? Michelangelo, Van Gogh, Picasso. That's like saying they're very, very different people. They're very different. Can you compare those people and say, let's put them all on the same playing field and equalize them? I don't like saying who's the best artist. Well, I think a better question is who's your favorite artist. Think of it like restaurants. Can you really say this is the best restaurant in town? Like, by Hugh's measurement. But you can always say, this is a Danny Myers quote, you can always say what your favorite restaurant in town is. And that's the one you should be going for. You don't want to be the best artist in the world, but you do want to be someone's favorite artist. That's the most important part. Be the favorite, not the best. Ooh. Best artist by whose standards? What? Some museum curator, someone who wrote a book on art history? They're going to tell us the artist that is the epitome of generate emotions onto a 2D surface. Whose emotions? Yours? If they're your emotions, how did someone you've never met better define what made you feel? Ooh, no way. That being said though, favourite artist out of those three? Was it Michelangelo, Van Gogh and Picasso? I like Michelangelo's story. I like Van Gogh's work. But his story is more of a message. It's less of an inspirational story. And I like Picasso's quotes. I think out of the three, Picasso was the best businessman by a long shot. Does that make him the best artist? Cubism. Does Cubism move you? Is anyone actually moved by Cubism? Do you look at a Cubism piece and cry? Do you need to? I don't know, guys. I never find myself having a euphoric moment in front of a Picasso piece that I do with Van Gogh. I wasn't moved like I thought I'd be by the Sistine Chapel. It's a controversial thing to say, but I wasn't. It was beautiful art, don't get me wrong, beautiful art, but it wasn't something that could reach me. So when we say Michelangelo is one of the greatest, he's one of the greatest for that time period, but I don't see people from this time period being emotionally moved by Michelangelo. In fact, it's going to upset some people, you could probably say that the likes of Damien Hirst is actually emotionally moving more people than Michelangelo this century. And so if that's the case, can we really say Michelangelo is the greatest of all time? Or the greatest in that century? And you certainly wouldn't say Damien Hirst is... It's unfair to say he'd have an impact on the 14th century since he's born into the 20th century. So art's a weird thing, hard to compare people. But the best way to look at it, I would say, is to contain people within their centuries. And I know that sounds bad to do that, but that allows you to actually register the emotional impact that they have or surmise what it might have been. But for you, the greatest art for you personally, the greatest art has got to be someone alive right now who's emotionally moving you through their stuff. Or just relevant right now. In fact, they don't have to be alive, just relevant to you. If you're an architecture person, you can get relevant, like you can be moved by the architecture of Rome. That's okay. That is okay, but yeah, I think we're all too easily told what to like, and I don't like that. See, your favourite Kiwi's doing well. Welcome on in. I guess because he did it on his back. Fair. So, I love that though, because we always get hung up on the Sistine Chapel on a results point, but actually, if we credit beauty in the Sistine Chapel because he did it on his back, now we're saying that actually there's something beyond a result that we want to credit the artwork with and actually value the process, which is pretty unique for that time period, because no one was saying back then that a beautiful process made a beautiful result. Whereas in today's day and age, we look at that Sistine Chapel and say, oh, one of the reasons why it's amazing is he did it on his back. I don't think at the time they would see that as amazing. They would see that as more of a required necessity. And it would add to the difficulty of the project and the renown of it. I don't know if it would actually have that much of an impact. It definitely does today though. If an artist does a piece of work upside down, no one was doing that in the Renaissance period, guys. When the Sistine Chapel, for example, was being painted, no one was saying, oh, look at my art, it's so great because I can do it upside down or with my feet. That's a 21st century thing. That's a process-driven element. We are much more addicted to process than we were 400 years ago. I've never been moved by repetitive images of soup cans. No, you don't need to be. You need to understand, though, that Andy Warhol, there's a dialogue there. You got to remember that when Andy Warhol was doing that, there was a bunch, even more than today, of gatekeeping galleries who were telling you what artists to like. And Andy Warhol, it was him versus these massive curators and critics in galleries. That he'd get a space in the gallery and it'd be like soup cans. And it was almost an insult to critics and galleries to put that in, to call that art. But that was the point. He was actually not trying to insult the viewer, you. He wasn't trying to say, look at these soup cans, they're glorious, they'll change your mind and change your reality. He was trying to actually slap museum curators and critics and the general art theme at the time to say, get off the high horse, anything can be art. And it was almost like, think of the soup cans actually. You know in the political chambers how they heckle each other? Think of the soup cans, the Campbell's soup cans, as a heckle to the whole art scene at the time. It was all right then, take that. And he chose the most generic, mundane, stupid thing he could, a Campbell's soup can. And then, like, you gotta see as well, like with the silk screening, he'd just grab a figure that everyone recognised, and then he'd just copy it 8 times over. And not do it perfectly. He'd let it fade out. 8 Elvises is one of the most famous works of all time now. And again, it's that, I wouldn't say it's Dada, it's not anti-art, but it's a classic return of power to the viewer. Andy Warhol gave you, hate Andy Warhol all you like for his soup cans, but remember that he gave you back the power. Until he did that, you were being told what to like by critics. And he was a man of the people who, like, he took a video of himself eating a hamburger and he called it art. He was the guy who said, actually, opinions and degrees and education aside, we'll let the people decide what they like. Through hating me, they'll decide what they like. So I think that's pretty cool. You're welcome. All right. Pollock wasn't on the same thread. Pollock was more like he was less trying to warp the whole art scene and more just stretching the definition of art. He took that expressionist element of that, you know, chaotic, splashed around wild paint, and he said, how far can we take this? Can we just remove the picture altogether? Like, have calculated wilderness, but do we need a guiding image to inspire us? And he said, nah, we don't. I'm going to meticulously plan these out with huge amounts of paint, meticulous planning, you know, down to the mill. And then I'm going to make art through that. So if you had on one side of the fence Mona Lisa's Da Vinci, which is, you know, an example of, at that time period, the best example of craft that we had, you would compare that to Pollock, in that where one shows the greatest craft of all time, the other one shows absolute chaos, and they meet in the middle with, what do you call it when you preconceive something, where you have the idea, where you construct it, where you premeditated, both planned. So Pollock wouldn't just walk into his studio, Jason Pollock wouldn't just walk into his studio and say, right, let's shoot from the hip today. He would meticulously plan. Like the Mona Lisa was meticulously planned, which is funny to compare them both, but meticulously plan and then make something wild. And then you could put, if you wanted to actually bring the example home to where we are right now, this works the complete opposite. This is the anti-Pollock. And the anti-Da Vinci. This is completely unplanned. We go into these with no plan of colour, no plan of layout, no nothing, and we just start shooting from the hip. And we assume that if we take thousands and thousands of shots from the hip in the right direction, we'll see a work of art. But see, that style would upset Pollock. Pollock wanted a plan. Da Vinci needed a plan. My plan is there is no plan. So, and that's a very, very 21st century attitude. You couldn't have that as a plan 100 years ago. And the reason you couldn't is paint was too expensive. You couldn't just think, I'm going to shoot from the hip, paint something stupidly wild, and hopefully it goes right. Only because the affordability of professional painters come down, allows me to attack this work with no plan and waste hundreds of dollars of paint. Whereas previously, you couldn't do that with ultramarine blue. It cost the same as gold. You're not just going to just frivolously waste gold hoping that you might discover a painting by the end of it. So this no plan style, this is a 21st century style. It's unique to this century. Just because of that supply and demand of paint, actually. Hello, Petrus, and are you related to Patrick Gower? I am not. Gorgeous, thank you so much. At this point, do you even know the painting like this is finished? You do. So, there's a couple of other elements we want to add to it. There's depth in a lot of areas I want to add. Although there's no plan, I'll know when we arrive at the destination, if that makes sense. You like all the pictures I draw? Well, that's very, very kind of you. I appreciate that. I like a few of them. No, I'm a fan of a lot of the art. I'm a fan of a lot of the art. A lot of the stuff that we make, though, if it's not commission-based, and I'm not happy with it, or I'm not fully satisfied that I'm in love with it, I'll keep it and keep working on it. I have a rule, and this picture here is no exception. I have this rule that nothing leaves the studio until I'm in love with it. Nothing leaves the studio until I'm in love with it. And sometimes that means projects go well over budget, but it's important to do that because forget about your credibility as a professional, your credibility to yourself as an artist. You have to be making things that you fall in love with, or your creativity will die. It will die. Slow or fast, it'll be inevitable. Inevitable. You're off to bed, Jules. Get some sleep. Thanks for joining in. I appreciate it. And hello, my friend. Thanks, Eva Derrison. Thanks for stopping on in. Makes sense. Yeah. But again, guys, I spout these opinions to you. Be aware that although I say them like gospel, I swap my mind all the time. All the time. So what's my opinion one day won't be the next. And it's really, really healthy to do that, especially with art. Because you're not the same person you were 2 years ago. And you won't be the same person you are in 5 years' time. So expect art, something that's deeply and intrinsically connected to your taste, to change. Your preferences will change. Who you are will change. Commissions are still fun. Art's still fun because you can actually capture that moment in time for you and always look back on it. Kind of like art in a photo album sense. But you yourself, you'll love, you'll like, you'll dislike, and you'll change. And you have to allow yourself to do that, especially with art. Do I like Franz Klein's work? I have not seen it, but I'm sure it's lovely. You would be an absolute legend if you sent it to me. Whether it be by email or Instagram or Snapchat or Twitter or whatever. All the links are in the bio. Send me through your 2 favorite pieces and I will comment on them. Even send you back a video of me commenting on them. There we go. Imagine all the people living for today. Yeah, yeah. You may say that I'm a dreamer. Well, you'd be right. I'm not the only one. And some sweet day you'll find us. Have you ever dabbled in sculpting? Funny question, actually. I had someone contact me the other day and say, "You are the sculpture artist. You use paint like clay, and you sculpt with it on the surface. You don't paint with it." And that was the most profound, meaningful compliment or observation that I've heard in about 6 months. It blew my mind. And the reason why that's so interesting, get on board with this. the reason why that's so interesting is I'm first and foremost a sculptor. My scholarship to go to art school was in sculpture, not painting. Not painting. You know, I applied for one in painting. I think I was the only painting student at my all-boys high school in 7th form, so I got top of class. And the bottom, but top of class. And I applied for a scholarship for painting. They gave me excellence, but they did not give me a scholarship. Whereas in sculpture, they gave me like top, tippy top. And again, guys, this is nothing new. This is old school stuff. We're talking back in like 2010. So we're going back 14 years since I left high school. 14 years. And it's a matter of time before I go back there. It's a matter of time. So when people say he paints like a sculptor, this is actually a very, very profound observation, because it is fitting that I would use paint like a sculptor. Anyway, enough on that. What's my favorite medium to use? Honestly, nah, that's like saying, oh, that's tough. It's tough. My favorite medium, I'm gonna give it to acrylic paints over oils, only because the dry times are that much more efficient. And so you can actually layer up so aggressively in one single session. Like right now, we've already got, in some of these spots, 5 colors on top of each other. We can't do that with regular oil, or even with different things mixed into the oil. So I've got to say that, yeah, I'm going to say acrylic's my favorite. This medium right here, this is my favorite. But like, you make me squirm. You make me squirm when you make me answer a question like that, because favorite's such a tough thing to actually, like, and like, honestly, when I was thinking favorite, charcoal popped into my head for a moment. And I hardly ever work with charcoal, but it feels so good and natural on the hands. Like, people are starting to love charcoal more now too. They've got like charcoal toothpaste. Thanks, Jay. I agree. Every time I've tried oil, I get frustrated because it's always so wet. Make no mistake, oil's amazing. Oil has the most amazing perks. But my preference, and you can add drying things into the oil, I would use a huge amount of a chemical called liquid, which would make it dry fast, so I could like intensively layer the work. But you're trying to make, if you imagine acrylics here and oils here, oil's got that saturated, beautiful color and that depth and that lusciousness. And acrylic has this fast drying, easily manipulatable quality. And you want to bring them towards each other. Acrylic can get closer to oil with its lushness of color than oil can get to acrylic with transparency, fast drying, alternating layers, and ability to work with it. So, what am I trying to say? I think I said it. They're both great, but depending on your painting style, and that's why it's really hard to say, like, oh, what's the best between watercolor, oils, and acrylics? It's really hard to answer that. Really, really tough. You shouldn't be asking that question, because you as an individual, if you're an artist, will preference different ones differently, and you have to allow yourself to do that. Restoration of artwork, I haven't done a whole lot of that. I've done a few little jobs, restoring a piece here and there just for fun, but like, it's not my bag, baby. It's better to get someone, because that's a craft, who does it 24/7 to look after you on that. I prefer to add my own little spin onto things, and restoration doesn't want your own little spin. It wants facts. It wants you to recreate what was there, restore what already existed. So it's not my bread and butter. It would be interesting to see his paintings at the Vernissage. You can see them right here. Honestly, I think in terms of definition, being able to see them online via the website, pretty good place to see them. I'm going to actually release. I turned it off, but I think I'm going to turn it back on. I have that online gallery. And a couple of people really, really enjoyed it. It just took a lot of upkeep to manage it, but it was basically something you could click into as a link, and you could walk around all the previous artworks on the walls of a gallery, like a VR room. But I think that'll come back, honestly, because at the moment it's really hard to see all the works, especially since most of them go to private residences. You know, it makes it really unfair for someone who would like to see the art, and you're like, oh, sorry, you can't see it anywhere. And since it's in private homes, you can't see it anywhere ever. Like, it's less fun. There we go, mix that up in there. Mix that up in there. Wanna mix it up? Build me a buttercup, baby, just to let me down. Pull me around, worst of all, you never called baby when you said you would. And I love you still, I need you more than anyone, darling. Don't da-da-da-da-da. Build me up, buttercup, don't break my heart. Ba-da-ba. Ba-da-da-ba-da-da-da-ba-da-da. Oh. Alrighty-tighty. Alright, splatter. Already some glinted gold highlights in at the moment. Just subtle ones. Just subtle. They always catch the light slightly differently, which makes them really fun. They're not a necessity, but I find them fun. Some glinted gold highlights. How crazy is it that we can now buy gold paint? I mean, the novelty wore off pretty fast, but to have the ability to go to your local store and buy literally the color of gold, we'd have to ask ourselves, surely, why do we still want to buy real gold if you can literally buy paint that's golden colored? You can paint things. Which strikes me as a fair point. Buttercup, baby, just to let me down and pull me around, and worst of all, you never call baby when you say you will. I love you still. I need you more than anyone, darling. Don't be but double bit down. Fill me up, buttercup, don't break my heart. Ever call baby when you say you will. I love you still, I need you more than anyone, darling. Over da ba da dee da. Fill me up. There we go. It's up in the sky here. There we go. What is more essential? The artwork or the artist? Absolutely the artist. 100 times over. Because I believe if we existed in a world where the end result ceased to exist the moment you finished a painting, then only real artists would paint. In a world where no artwork could ever be made again, well, could never be finished, could only be made, only real artists would continue to actually enjoy artwork. So, easy question. Easy question. Hey Lee, welcome on in. And Swift, thank you very much. Geordie, thank you. Appreciate you guys. I need you. Just gonna grab a bit of that. Purple. Call me mellow yellow. Schnizber. There we go. Hello, Samara. Welcome on in. And endurance. And an artist can endure through art. No more important, but more lasting. You've got me confused on that one, but it strikes me it comes from the right place. But I'm confused as to what the message is. Build me up, buttercup baby, just to let me down. Pull me around, worst of all. Never call baby when you said you would. I love you still, I need you more than anyone, darling. Build me up. Ba-da-dum-bam, ba-dum-bum. A la people ba. La ba ba da bee. La ba da bee ba da bum ba da bum. Changing the question from more important to more enduring, just for fun. That's a good way of looking at it, actually. What endures more, the artwork or the artist? Well, I think it's different for every case. I think the story of Van Gogh and Picasso definitely endures beyond the art. I think we all know Picasso's quotes and philosophies more than we know every piece of Picasso. In the same way we all know Van Gogh's stories, but we only really know Starry, Starry Night. But Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci, I think the artwork of those two supersedes the artists. Da Vinci doesn't really have a whole lot of profound quotes that get used today as such, not like Picasso. And Michelangelo's name is connected to the Sistine Chapel, but actually he never supersedes it, he always follows it. So it's interesting. I think the answer is different artists are different. And we made a good move, guys. A good move. A good move to be under the shelter today because it is hammering down right behind me. And had I gone outside, everything would have got wet. And that would be less enjoyable for us. Hilarious for you guys. Dry on the other side of the phone, but for me, un desastre. Oh. La vista, la vista, la vista. Right. Righty, it's righty. A little bit more of this. Lovely. Lovely. We're going to dabble across into where are we going to go next? Where do we go next with this colour palette? There we go. There we go. Cut that in there. La vista, hookia, la vista. La vista, hookia, la vista. There we go. Beautiful. Expand that across. There we go. Keep it coming. All the way down through here. That comes down, peaks there, encroaches in there, cuts down through here. Thanks, Bailey. I appreciate that. Chuck, I'm surprised you don't listen to music in your studio. I do like music, Chuck. I do like music, but for me, I find that if I can get into a flow state and produce art without music, that's a fantastic thing to do. Just because if you rely on music the whole time, you become desensitized to it. It's like having too many coffees. And once you're desensitized to music, how then do you elevate your craft when you might be feeling more emotionally weak? Less on the ball. Here we go. Beautiful. So I like to save music for when you really want that kick. This makes sense, listening to the rain relaxing. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Rain's a nice touch. Beautiful. Alright, bit of this colour. Glorious. I am indeed. It's raining outside, and I was talking to a friend the other day saying perhaps the best idea is to use a gazebo on these rainier days. But regardless, almost finished this little chaotic layer right now. Get a bit more of that through there. Perfect. All right, team. Kiki, thank you so much. Company would be lovely. How long have I been working on this one? Ooh, we might be going on about 8 to 10 hours now. It's hard to guess. It's very hard to guess. It's heading in the right direction, but we've still got work to go. I'll show you the picture up close here. This is 700 Springs Ranch, and then this is where we've got to so far. So we're making ground. We're not there yet, but we're having a bunch of fun. So you can start to see it's very wild up close. Wild up close, but come away and the picture will start to make more sense. Making good ground. We've had some fun. Carlos, New Zealand. This is New Zealand. Cheers, Andy. All right, guys. Have a lovely, lovely day. It's starting to clear up with the weather now. I'm going to check the forecast and perhaps we might get outside later on. Bye for now, team. See ya.